Firefighters did their job. The man who Winston County investigators believe stole a flatbed truck from behind the fire department was caught last week in Neshoba County. But Frederick Rush is in way more trouble than just that. First, he's charged with sextortion, recording he and his girlfriend secretly, then threatening to release the video if she didn't pay him $30, say the cops. While he was being interrogated for that in a room at the Louisville Police Department is when he walked out and stole the truck. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WIAB. I'm Chris Davis.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of this radio station, its parent, affiliated, or related entities.
Happy Monday, everyone. Happy President's Day. Welcome into the Lindsey Beckham Show. We are live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios here in good old Flora, Mississippi. It's kind of dreary out there today. I've got Blake with me. Hey, Blake.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. If you've been listening, then you just heard him. You filled in for Andrew on the Andrew Gosser Show. Blake, how old are you?
I'm 17.
17. I asked Blake to sit in with me because I have been listening to you a little bit on Andrew's show, and I'm just highly impressed.
Well, thank you.
At 17 years old, to be concerned with issues going on in our world today and knowing that these things will shape our future, will shape our tomorrow, and how important that is. I met a girl named Anastasia the other day when I spoke at the Mississippi Center for Public Policy luncheon on school choice, education, freedom. And she, like you, involved. She and her sister have started the Turning Point Club for Jackson, Mississippi. And that just excites me so much. I need you to come over to my house and get my 16-year-old up and involved. Now, she's a conspiracy theorist like I am. She loves to go down the rabbit holes. But I think I embarrassed her a little bit because I'm always out doing stuff. But what made you so involved?
Well, I was telling you earlier before we got started, I was homeschooled a little bit of my 8th grade year, and I just had so much free time on my hands. And I mean, I got my schoolwork done in probably 2 hours, which would just tell you that being stuck in a classroom 8 hours a day is just not what kids need, and it's not what they should be doing. But the point is that I had so much free time, and that's whenever Biden had just gotten into office. And I remember the border was just, it was exploding with how awful it was, the drugs, everything like that. And I started to do more research into it, and I got more passionate about it. And I just consumed all of the knowledge and, who was pushing what was really going on. And then it was whenever Trump got indicted the first time that it just, my goodness, it lit a fire in me. And it just, me and my buddy had we put some Trump flags on sticks and wrote honk for Trump on a cardboard thing and just went out there. It's just stuff like that. And it got bigger and bigger. And I've met, Mary Jo Perry, all these people with Conservative Coalition, and all this stuff. I met Andrew and everything like that. And the flag waves we did and everything. It's just gotten bigger over time. And I've just gotten more passionate about it because I've been able to tie it to Christ. And you can really see the spiritual warfare, I believe, that's been going on in America. And that's really what's really inspired me to do it. And I truly believe that is what God called me to do. So
I love that. I absolutely love that. I say all the time, what has happened here in this country? And sometimes I wake up and feel like I'm in the twilight zone just because it's gotten so crazy. And I think to myself, or I say to myself, what can we do? How do we fix it? And the only way to do that is to put God back into the center of everything. And that's the only way. It's a heart problem. And that's the only way that we are going to be able to change anything, is to really start focusing on that. And that what matters the most. And it's funny, Mary Jo is where I started. That's where my activism started, was with the vaccine issue. My son was vaccine injured. And so I learned so much from her. And so you're involved with the Conservative Coalition.
Yes, ma'am, I am. I think the first meeting I went to was July 2024. And Mary Jo asked me, because she is so busy and she just does so much. And
she's incredible.
She is, awesome. She asked me if I could help out with some of the IT stuff that they have on their website, some of the graphics and stuff like that, and put it up there. I said, yeah, of course. And they've brought me in, and they have allowed me to be, a more vocal, I don't know if leader's the right word, but a more vocal part of what it is they're doing and some of the decisions they make. And I'm very thankful to her for that. And so the Conservative Coalition is doing really well. The Central chapter is, I think, booked for the next few months.
Really?
With speakers.
I used to be there every single week, and it got to where it was just, I was
it's
going something every night, it seemed like. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I got to slow down a little bit and cut some things out
Yeah.
here and there. But do you have friends that go with you, or have you tried to get your age group involved more?
I've tried. And I mean, after what happened to Charlie, it was like, that's probably the closest I've been able to do. Just because a lot of them have a hard time seeing why they should care right now. And I keep trying to tell them, I'm like, dude, I know we can't vote right now, but like the stuff that's decided today we're gonna be living with it forever.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna die in 10 years like the people that are voting on it are. Like,
exactly.
Like we got 50 more years, 60 more years, Lord willing, that we got to be here dealing with it. So I try to get them like, dude, just come be involved, especially stuff like grassroots and everything like that. If this was just about me wanting to make sure I was in the most powerful position, I would have just applauded the establishment until I was blue in the face, right? Like that's what if I was just looking at this for myself. But no, this is about saving America. This is about not saving the world, honestly, to a bigger extent, returning this country back to God. And you got to start with this grassroots stuff. And I try. They're starting to be more receptive to it. So I think there's progress being made, and the older they get, and obviously the more that these issues become more polarizing, the more they're going to see. And I certainly noticed that in conversation and the stuff that they say. So
that's awesome. Do you have any siblings?
I don't. I'm an only child.
You're an only child? I grew up
Thank
only
God. If I
child.
had a sibling, I'd fine.
I know. I joke all the time with my oldest is 16, and of course I have 5, so she's got 4 younger siblings, and I say all the time that's the best birth control, because she's like, I'm never having kids ever. Well, are your parents politically involved, or where did you get a lot of your values?
Well, I definitely got it from my parents. My dad, neither of my parents are from here. My mom's from Indiana. My dad's from North Central Florida. So I mean, about southern as you can get on the panhandle of Florida. And they really raised me right, and they really just raised me with Christian values, and then I was able to use that and interpret it through my politics. I mean, parents are both very, conservatives, whatever. That's great and everything. My dad, he went to Millsaps, he majored in history, and then he went to Yale for a year for graduate school. And so, so whenever I was homeschooled, he was like my teacher. And those are some of the hardest essays I've probably ever had to write, was him grading all my essays and everything, because he did it like he was a Yale or whatever. And I
love it.
Oh my gosh, it was awful, but we did it. We got it done, and it helped us out. So, but they really raised me in Christian conservative values is it's really the family. The family is what they
the first institution of God.
Exactly, and that's what really they pushed on me, and I think it's been great. And because I'm an only child, it really is like that triangular unit, and that's really what we are. And it's great. And I've just been able to use what they've given me. And that's what they wanted. They didn't want to just push this and that. They wanted to teach me, and then I can use it for whatever I want to use it for. And I think they've just done a great job for it.
Oh, I love that. I really, really do. I was listening to a little bit, you and Chris talking as I was driving in, and the immigration issue and where you stand on that, and kind of how you feel about that.
Yeah.
And something you said, I didn't even realize that the Trump administration had found that many of the children that were missing through immigration during the Biden administration.
Yeah.
So that's something you feel really strongly about.
Absolutely. I mean, because we were sort of talking about this, is that illegal immigration is a lot bigger than just like people coming across the border. How do they get there? What do they bring with them, whether that be disease, drugs, et cetera? The human trafficking aspect of it. Are these people just being used for votes and congressional seats and all this other stuff? And it's a much bigger problem, I think, than anyone is willing to admit. The Trump administration, they're trying to talk about that and fix that, whether it be the SAVE Act or the deportations or all this other stuff that they're doing. But it's bigger than just people coming across the border. It increases housing costs. It increases inflation in general. It lowers wages. It just makes the American dream unattainable for so many people, especially in a time where it's already so hard to get, whether it be the expenses of college, the lack of housing, overregulation, AI taking over jobs. Like, it just makes it so much harder for people to attain the American dream and start a family. And if you don't have a family, if you don't have a nation that's able to work, you don't have a nation at all. And if you don't have borders, you don't have a nation at all. And so it's just watching like the fabric of our nation be destroyed that just makes me so passionate about it. Because it's like, why are we willing to sit here and let our nation be destroyed, let our nation become unrecognizable? And it's not hate for these people, it's love for our nation, right? And I think that if these people were able to, if they're so great, I don't know why they can't be great in their own country. why do they have to come here and be subsidized by us? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's really just my perspective on it.
So what do you say to people who think it is hateful not to allow somebody to come here for a better life, or to seek refuge if there's something going on in their country that they're afraid for their life, or that they just want to seek a better life for their children? And what do you say to those people who say, well, you're being hateful, that's not the love of God?
I would say the first thing I would tell them is, first of all, you've never asked me what I really believe about this, so I don't know how you can say it's hateful. Secondly, what I would tell them is that the Bible is very clear on immigration, or not necessarily on immigration, but on what the role of government is, and then how we're supposed to treat borders. I think we have it. I talked about it earlier. Yeah, the verse for today, like a city whose walls are broken, so is a mind whose person lacks self-control. Right? Is that nations and borders and sovereignty? It is biblical. And what does Matthew talk about? Depart from me, I never knew you. That's what Jesus is going to say if you don't fully surrender your life to Christ. Heaven has a very strict immigration policy. Hell has open borders, right? And so that's what I sort of ask people, because I think that they're just taking a lot of these verses, whether it be Leviticus or Deuteronomy, out of context. And it just you have to know who these people are. There has to be borders, like I said. You just don't have a nation. I don't think it's hateful at all. And I think it's not loving to welcome a people into a country en masse whenever you're just making it harder for them to look for that great life that they're looking for. And instead, I think if like America, like whenever we got Maduro out of office, whenever we went in there and took him out, a lot of Venezuelans wanted to go home. And if we continue to push these open
They felt
borders,
it was safe at that point.
exactly, right? And whenever you hurt the cartels who have just basically taken over South America and Mexico and everything like that, then you start to return some normalcy where people aren't going to be fleeing them constantly. And the approach of just mass migration clearly hasn't helped that process. And the only thing that's really helped it is a strong border and a strong America.
I agree. And you really have a different opinion on that when you sit and you talk with a mom whose son died from fentanyl.
Exactly.
And I have a friend of mine, Ann, who is from California, but she lost her 17-year-old son, Weston, and he'll forever be 17. But because of drugs that came across an open border and no one to stop it, her son's gone.
And they try to make the argument, and as if we live in a perfect world where we can just take in all these people. We can't. There is a legal way to do it. And I applaud the people that do it the right way every single day. We should welcome that. A lot of the country was built by people who did it the right way. All the immigrants in New York City, Chicago, stuff like that. But they did it the right way. There's absolutely a right way to do it. And we don't live in a perfect world. It's not just about people coming across, like it's the drugs and everything. And benefiting one person does not outweigh destroying the whole nation, in my opinion. And I feel like that's where people have lost it. And it's really, they've tried to make it such a hyper emotional issue that the facts of everything that goes on is just completely lost on people.
One thing that truly bothers me that we're seeing happen right now is schools participating and getting their students involved in these anti-ICE protests. I think that's disgusting.
I think it is too.
How dare you, as an educator, teach these children that it is okay not to respect our law enforcement and the laws of our land?
Yeah. I mean, we have seen over the last year and a half or whatever, this like 4,000% increase in violence against ICE officers and ICE agents and Border Patrol. And that is because of the rhetoric that the left has been pushing and that the educators push on students as well. I mean, if we live in a country where it is this popular to disrespect law enforcement that takes murderers, pedophiles, and rapists off of our streets every day, I mean, what country do we live in?
Yeah.
And what does that speak to? If it's, do they feel the same way about all criminals or, police in general? It's like, is the line really just because it's illegal immigrants? And I think a lot of them have just been lied to. And I think they've just been brainwashed. I mean, kids are impressionable. So of course they're going to try to prey on the youth. Right.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah.
Hitler once said, and if you can control the mind of the youth today, then you control the world tomorrow.
Yep.
And that's so true. And that's why I think, that's why I spend so much of my time advocating for our young people, especially in education, because those are the people who are going to be sitting in Jackson in those seats, making our laws and changing our laws.
Yep.
In the next generation. And so it's just that important that we make sure they're being educated in the best way possible and not being brainwashed. Because we see a lot of that happening, unfortunately.
We do. And I try to, and this is why I welcome conversation. I have conversations with liberal and progressive friends at school every single day. And a lot of them are amazed that I'm willing to have these
You have a
conversations.
sign that says, "Prove me wrong."
Yeah, I would love one, but the school would take it away from me. I barely get away with some of the t-shirts I wear at school. So I have to be careful because I am on their radar. In fact, we're trying to get a Turning Point chapter over there at Northwest, and we're having some issues. So, but which is against state law. So that's a whole that's a whole other thing.
Exactly.
But I try to have conversations with them every day, and they're a lot of times they're surprising with that I'm willing to do that because we've been educated on TikTok and Instagram and everything that we're so divided. But I really think we agree on a lot more than we believe we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that once we actually start to have these substantive conversations instead of just emotional arguments, that a lot more stuff can get done. And that's where I found that I gained the respect of a lot of people who disagree with me vehemently, but it's just about how you communicate with one another. And I think that's lost on a lot of people.
Absolutely. Because right at the end of the day, we all want a safe place to live.
Mm-hmm.
We all want good education for our children. We all want groceries and gas that are affordable. I mean, we do agree on so much more than most realize that we do.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that it's a lot of times we get caught up in the emotions of everything and the debate aspect of it, but it's like, what's really happening? And that's what I try to explain to people. Is like, I understand. I think a lot of people come at it from, the purest of hearts, but they've just been misguided on it. And I'm like, we want, like you said, we want the same thing, but let's look at what this actually does. And then let's make a decision off of it. I think one of the things that leaders need to have is a certain level of stoicism where they can remove emotion from decisions where the result doesn't care about what your emotions are. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, you think about people in professions, you don't want somebody running off of emotion. Your surgeon, you want somebody operating on you that's running off of emotion.
Exactly.
You don't want our government leaders running off of emotion. You want them to be able to make smart decisions and thought processing decisions after they have prayed about it and done the research on it, not acting off of emotion.
Yeah. And I think that's something that we as conservatives, tend to do is like we prefer a more slow change to things, instead of the left going, we're going to do this and that immediately. It's like, no, that you cause a lot of chaos and you're usually not going to get the intended result because of that. But if you approach something where you're slowly changing it, then you can see what's going to happen and you can adjust what you're doing as time goes on. And I just wish more people would operate like that.
Would operate that. I do too. Well, we got to take a break, but y'all stay with me. I have got Blake Bartlum. Is that Bartlum? Okay, I make sure I got that right. Yes, and I'm getting lots of comments saying that everyone is so impressed with you, that you are a sharp young man. I agree completely. That's why I decided I was going to say, please come sit in on my show whenever you want to, because I love to hear you speak. But y'all stay with us. We will be right back here on the Lindsey Beckham Show right after this break. Beckham Show right after this break.
103.9 WYAB.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Get ready, Louisiana! Johnny's Pizza House is turning up the heat with our sweet the swamp pizza. Packed with crawfish, shrimp, a taste of crab, andouille sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun Flint or dive into a sweet the swamp pizza bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Johnny's Pizza House.
Pure Air Consultants offers services on your heating and cooling system. It's time to get your heating system serviced. We offer replacement, service, maintenance agreements. It's important because if you have a gas heating system, it can produce carbon monoxide. So you want to make sure you have your system serviced and cleaned to protect your family. You want to make sure your system is safe to run. You can find us on our website at mypureairconsultants.com, mypureairconsultants.com.
Broad Street King Cakes, pass that plate. Broad Street King Cakes taste so great. From Jackson Town to every state, best King Cheesecake.com, don't wait. Lines out the doorway, laughter in the air. Hidden little baby waiting in there somewhere. From now till Mardi Gras, you know where to be. Or click that link and make your kitchen Bourbon Street. Oh, Broad Street King Cakes. Broad Street King Cakes. Jackson Town to every state. This KingCake.com, don't wait.
I'm speaking with Lee Bounds of Rapid Rate Mortgage. How does real estate agent Rita Jensen succeed when time is of the essence?
In today's market, it is so important to communicate and close on time. Typically have 30 days to close, get a home inspection, appraisal, title work, that kind of thing is a mortgage process. And a realtor relationship is so important. With a realtor like Rita Jensen with Remax Connection, she helps us to close on time.
RitaJensen.net.
At Lakeshore Church, we believe the liberation of the soul is found only in Christ. Hello, I'm Jay Frazier, Senior Pastor at Lakeshore, inviting you to come and worship with us this week. We believe in the three-cross concept of ministry: the cross of salvation, the cross of separation, and the cross of service, and we believe all of these crosses should be evident in our lives. We're at 6880 South Sidewell Road in Byram. For more information about the ministries, activities, and times of service, go to lakeshorecmc.org.
And be sure to listen to Lakeshore Church's weekly program, heard Sunday mornings at 8 on 103.9 WYAB.
This is Gary Bryden with the Association of Independent Methodists, inviting you to join us for the Methodist Bible Hour USA each Sunday morning at 7 a.m. We'll explore the scriptures, share insightful thoughts, and enjoy special music. In today's world, there's a lot of confusion around us, but we'll point you to the eternal truth found only in Jesus Christ. That's the Methodist Bible Hour USA every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on 103.9 WYAB.
Welcome back into the Lindsey Beckham Show. We are joined by Blake Bartlam today. We are live from the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios, and we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. 601-879-0002 is the number if you want to call into the show today. 601-879-4648 is our text line. And I was telling Blake, we're getting lots of comments. Everybody is so impressed, as I knew that they would be. Maybe it was a mistake. You might be taking my job, Blake.
That's what Andrew said. I'm like, I can't do all of them.
Well, you are very sharp and very involved and knowledgeable to be 17 years old. And that's what really impressed me when I heard you, because we just don't see 17-year-olds who are this involved or who seem to understand how important it is to know what's going on and to change things for the better. What are you thinking about, or what are your thoughts on the Epstein files?
Well, the problem is that you have the discourse around it is just impossible, because if you try to excuse anything the Trump DOJ has been doing, you get accused of being a pedophile protector. Mm-hmm. And it's just, whenever you just sit back and think about it for more than a couple seconds and remove your emotions from it, no time in history have we been required by law to release every single document related to an investigation. And there's a good reason for that, because whenever you release everything, people can say whatever they want about what's in there, remove the context, and then people are going to assume it's the God's honest truth. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just such a story that's just been just so convoluted over time, and just requiring the law that Massey and Conan pushed through was just ridiculous. Like, obviously we all want to see the truth come out, but whenever you have 6.5 million documents they have to go through, of course there's going to be mistakes and some redactions that weren't supposed to be there. You can't possibly get it out on time by providing the context for every single one of these. Like, it's just unfeasible. And you're taking resources that the DOJ could be using to prosecute the deep state or do real investigations, and instead they're spending time going through a bunch of documents that have like news articles in them and stuff. And like,
I was reading through some of it, and of course it's I don't even know where they're getting the information, but it's tips that have come in, and then they try to research the tips, and then they can't get an answer, or they find them not to be credible. So I can see what you're saying there, how some of it could end up hurting someone or hurting their reputation, even though it's not
And
accurate.
I think it's it's like it's almost like a distraction, really, because people have been so concerned. Like almost no one has been talking about Bill Clinton or Bill Gates or Stephen Hawking, Reid Hoffman, Prince Andrew, all of these people who have been confirmed by the files to have done all this horrible stuff. But instead, they're more concerned with pushing some narrative about Trump and the DOJ and everything. Like, talk about the stuff that was actually in there. Hold those people accountable instead of pushing some narrative that's just not there.
How about the fact they were talking about a pandemic way before the pandemic happened?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And all that stuff. And then, there's weird stuff like Steve Bannon basically being a double agent for the left in the White House. I mean, it's very obvious that a lot of this stuff has just been covered up, and they want to push the Trump thing more than they want to push the actual victims and the people who committed the actual crimes. And that's just what's so disgusting to me. It's just horrible.
Yeah. And of course, my thought process is if Trump is guilty of something, as much as they hate him, I don't even think they would care if they took down some of their own to get Trump to keep him from being reelected, because they hate him that much.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had to impeach him twice. They wouldn't have had to indict him 4 times. They wouldn't have to try to kill him twice. Like, none of that would have been necessary if they found that he was a pedophile. Like if they really had something on him, they would have found him. I mean, they have tried to convict him of the most ridiculous stuff. So that's my thought process on it. And I wish that people were focused on the real criminals and would just let go of this story that's just not there. That's just distracting from what really happened.
So do you think Epstein's alive? No. You don't think so?
No.
I'm like the conspiracy theorist
I think
over here.
It's good questions to ask, but I don't think so.
You don't think so? Do you think he killed himself?
You're not gonna get me on that. Like, I'm not gonna say he's there and killed himself. And it's possible he did, but the circumstances around it are certainly suspicious. So
I agree. Pam Bondi, she's just not very likable.
She's not, and she doesn't do herself any favors.
No, she did no favors in that congressional hearing the other day. She came across sounding arrogant, and
she's not a good communicator. No. Like, she's just not. And Kash Patel sort of has the same problem as well, but he's at least getting real results. I think this shows how significant it was whenever they stopped Matt Gaetz from becoming Attorney General, right? I think it showed you this is really what's going on here. And I think they like Bondi a lot more than they did Gaetz, because she can be controlled a lot more. And I don't know who else Trump would have put there, because he has to have someone, right? He can't sit there without an Attorney General. She's done some good stuff, but she just doesn't do herself any favors at all.
No, the Trapper Keepers and the Notebook. Yeah, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, I went back and watched the entire congressional hearing, and I was thinking, yeah, you did yourself no favors.
Yeah, you got to communicate it better. Like, that's all. And whenever you fumble the bag on something like that, you're feeding the fire for them. Like, they're not even having to make something up. You're giving them everything they need. And it's just like, really, you knew what you were walking into.
Right. You knew what kind of questions you were going to have to respond to. Yeah, it was definitely wild watching that play out. And I disagree with you a little bit. I differ with you on your opinion of the files. Like, I do want them released. I do think the public should know.
Yeah,
but I agree with you as on part of it, because I think you're right. If it's not something that's proven, then why should we release it?
Yeah, because like no other investigation has ever put out like every single tip that they ever got about it. It leads to this, where you have discourse where you don't know what's real, you don't know who did what, and that's what we've seen here, and that's the problem. And so it to me, it's just disrespectful to the victims to try to sit here and just be pushing all these narratives that just aren't there, instead of talking about what actually is there. And I want everything that's true to be put out, and
those people brought to justice.
Exactly. And those people to be locked up for the rest of their lives, if they, death penalty, stuff like that, whatever. But to sit here and say that we have to release everything, that just creates a world where we don't know what's true, and it distracts from the victims, in my opinion.
And distracts from other things that need our attention.
Yeah.
Someone said, what is your last name again? Bartlam.
Bartlam.
Where can people find you?
I guess, Facebook, Twitter, or X.
I still call it
TikTok.
Twitter.
Yeah, it just sounds rolls off the tongue.
I know it did. It really did.
And then YouTube. Yeah, Merge MS on YouTube. We got some stuff going on with the Conservative Coalition there. So yeah.
Yeah, Chris was at the event I spoke at last week, so it was good to see him. Had not seen him in a while. We got a comment that says, "Are you skipping school?" No, it's President's Day,
dude.
Come on, Dan, you're supposed to know that. And then Dan also, and he did this because he likes to pick at me about school choice, but he said, "School choice, it will be what destroys guys like you." I disagree.
I disagree entirely because the reason I was able to get so involved is because my parents made the choice to pull me out for a second. And it's because of the situation we were dealing with, at home. We thought we were going to move and stuff, but I feel like if you, just as much as we want to give, parents the choices, we got to give, they know their kids better than anybody. That's my thing. It's so it's hard to mold kids into this cookie cutter thing. Not every kid is different. They have a different set of needs.
They're all special and unique. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think treating them like they're their exact same person, whether it's standardized testing or Common Core, all that stuff just hurts the kids. And I feel like we have to give them more freedom and more choice so that they can find what they've been called to do. That's just my opinion on it.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Well, we got to take a break, but y'all stay with us. There is a trial going on in Georgia right now. I want to get your opinion on that and see what you think about it, because I think this is a very, very interesting topic when it comes to school violence. So y'all stay with us. We will be right back here on the Lindsey Beckham Show right after this break. WIAB 103.9. On the Lindsey Beckham Show right after this break. WIAB 103.9.
103.9 WYAB.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Get ready, Louisiana! Johnny's Pizza House is turning up the heat with our sweet the swamp pizza. Packed with crawfish, shrimp, a taste of crab, andouille sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun flip or dive into a sweet the swamp pizza bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Johnny's Pizza House.
Pure Air Consultants offers services on your heating and cooling system. It's time to get your heating system serviced. We offer replacement, service, maintenance agreements. It's important because if you have a gas heating system, it can produce carbon monoxide. So you want to make sure you have your system serviced and cleaned to protect your family. You want to make sure your system is safe to run. You can find us at our website at mypureairconsultants.com, mypureairconsultants.com.
CBS News Brief. Investigators in Arizona are pursuing new leads in the Nancy Guthrie case, and President Trump weighed in on the case today, as Stacey Lynn reports.
In a phone interview with the New York Post, he warned those responsible to release her unharmed and says if she's killed, he would direct the Justice Department to seek the death penalty.
Natalie Brand reports on the impasse over DHS funding and the partial government shutdown.
The Senate isn't scheduled to return until next Monday, but lawmakers have been put on notice to come back earlier if a deal is reached.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, wrapping up his trip to Europe, is answering questions about the negotiations to end the war in Ukraine.
All we are trying to do is play a role, if it's possible, in reaching a deal. We're not seeking to impose a deal on anybody. We're not trying to force anyone to take a deal they don't want to take. We just want to help them.
Tomorrow, talks between the U.S. and Iran are set to resume, with Oman acting as a mediator. On Wall Street, the markets are closed for the holiday. CBS News Brief, I'm Kat.
The Tri-County Academy Rebel success in the classroom and on the athletic stage begins with the Tri-County Academy Booster Club. Join the team and be a rebel by getting involved and volunteering as a booster. Your involvement is the generator for fundraisers, facility upgrades, equipment, uniforms, and all other needs. Tri-County Athletics thrives in part because of our TCA boosters. Join today by calling the TCA main office at 601-879-8517 and help the Rebels continue the championship tradition.
Grizz Nation. Your Memphis Grizzlies are back at FedEx Forum after the All-Star break on Friday, February 20th to host the Utah Jazz. Get here and get loud for the home team on Gospel Night. Grab your tickets today at grizzlies.com/tickets or at the FedEx Forum box office in Memphis.
Your roof is constantly exposed to the elements, battling dirt, algae, and stains. But with Watkins Construction and Roofing Roof Wash Service, you can keep it looking like new. A proprietary rooficide treatment is EPA approved, safe, and guaranteed to prevent algae from coming back for at least 2 years. No harsh chemicals, no damage, no black streaks. Just a clean, beautiful roof that lasts. Call Watkins Construction and Roofing at 601-966-8233 or visit nomoreroofstains.com today.
Ken here with Rapid Oil Change, a leader in fast service and fleet account maintenance for over 40 years, providing routine maintenance for most makes and models, keeping downtime to a minimum. Can't see at night? Headlights looking faded? Check out our newest service, the Bright Light Headlight Restoration Kit by Mighty Automotive. Available now. Keep your vehicle ready for the road ahead. And remember, drive hard with Castrol Edge. Open 6 days a week with 6 locations to serve. Visit us online for specials and location information at oilchangems.com.
As Christians, it's our calling to be faithful to Christ and obedient to the Great Commission. Our heart's desire and prayer to God is that through our efforts, many would receive and rest upon Christ alone as he is offered to them in the gospel. I'm David Strain, Senior Minister at First Presbyterian Church of Jackson, inviting you and your family to join us as we strive to fulfill that mission. We're located on North State Street in Jackson. Times of our services can be found at fpcjackson.org. You can also hear the good news about Jesus Christ each Sunday morning at 9:30 on 103.9 WYAB.
Come together right now over me.
Welcome back into the Lindsey Beckham Show. We are live here at the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. I am joined by Mr. Blake Bartlum here. And I wanted to get your opinion, Blake. So school violence, we've seen a ton of school shootings, a big increase in that. And it seems to be becoming a more popular thing to prosecute the parents of the children who are to blame for the school shooting itself. There is a trial going on right now in Georgia where the school shooter's dad is on trial for the deaths that occurred there. What are your thoughts on that? How do you feel? Do you think parents should be held accountable?
I think it depends on each circumstance, right? Like, did they give the kid the gun knowing what he was going to do? Did they help contribute to their motivations for it? I think it just depends on the circumstance. Obviously, you toe a fine line there, you know, but I think it just depends on the circumstance, because that's a hard thing to do. But if they gave the kid the gun knowing that he was going to be a danger, then I think obviously you have some responsibility there. So
Right. In this case, I think the child had shown a kind of obsession with school shootings, and so I guess the dad didn't have the weapon locked up like he should have. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's a very, you don't want to cross that line where you're convicting parents when they couldn't have known.
Yeah. But you know, if the parent didn't have the gun locked up, I mean, gun safety, stuff like that. If there's a kid in the house, especially if you know one that could be dangerous, like, you bear certain responsibility there. I mean, they teach that in gun safety classes, right? It's like, this is not just safety for other people, but it's safety for the people in your own home.
Right. Well, Carly Gregg, I mean, look at that case. And I think that.
Speaking of her, I had classes with that girl.
Did you?
I was friends with her. Yeah.
Were you? Did she seem like the kind of person who would have done something like that?
Not at all. I mean, she was brilliant. I think she had skipped a grade and then she had like a 32 or 33 on her ACT. Like, she was brilliant. I mean, her notes, I mean, she loved school. And I remember that I was just floored. It's like, wow. I knew she had an interesting home life. I knew she did, because she would sometimes talk about it in class. But nothing to that level.
I mean, I think it shocked everybody.
Yeah.
It is really surprising that somebody that young would take it upon themselves to do something like that. But, you know, again, there's a weapon in the house that's not locked up.
Yeah.
And if you know that your child is struggling with some mental health issues, I would think that would be something you would make sure of.
I would agree. Especially one that's that smart.
Mhm.
Like she wasn't just book like she didn't have the best like street smarts, but she wasn't dumb either when it came to that. Like she knew what she was doing. If she wanted to cook us something, she could have. And so I don't really know. That whole situation was just weird. And it was interesting, because whenever you tell people, yeah, I went to school with her, I had class, they're like, what? And they start asking you like a million questions. But yeah, that was a weird situation. But I remember the dad and everything, like how weird he kind of was at court, and I remember seeing all that stuff. But if you don't have your gun locked up in a safe place, and your kid is getting up to some stuff and about to get in trouble for this or that, like you probably do bear a little bit of responsibility for something like that.
Yeah. I think I've been so frustrated with our legislators over school safety issues because I feel like that's something we should be able to find them. It's always a find the money kind of problem. It's always a find it. We don't have the money for that. We don't have the money for that. And I feel like if we can, after 9/11, lock our airports down and keep them safe, then that should be our top priority is keeping our schools safe.
How about our government buildings? If we can lock those down, why can't we lock down our schools down?
Absolutely. And and I don't buy the excuse that, oh, we don't want our kids to feel like they're in a prison. I'm sorry, I'd rather it look like a prison than have to bury you.
Like no kid. This looks like this. No, it's cinder blocks that are just painted different colors.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Like that. It does. It kind of feels like you're in jail. But so I don't buy that argument at all. And I think a lot of kids, if they realized how much safer they were going to be, I don't think they would care. I really don't. Like just knowing my friends and knowing me, we're not going to care.
I think we should have school resource officers at every single door. I think there should be metal detectors walking in. I mean, whatever it takes.
Yeah, and if we can find money for all this other crap that we do, like why is this the thing that we're going to say we don't have the money for? I really don't get that argument either.
That's just a stupid excuse.
Yeah.
And shame on them because one death from a school shooter is one death too many.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just such an issue. It's just like, why in the world are we having arguments over this stuff? Like that's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like this should be a non-issue. And if we're going to have money for anything, it should be that.
Right. And that's biblical as well. We are called to protect and be a voice for the voiceless and speak out on behalf of the innocent. And our children are our greatest asset and our most important, most innocent.
If I'm sitting there trying to do my math equation, I need someone to protect me.
Exactly.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to have, I think, more protections for these kids than is what's there. And that's why we've seen all this. I think a simple solution, if you want to just get some basic stuff out the way, make every exterior piece of glass bulletproof. Because then they can't get in, right? Unless they break through a door, or they have, some very
superhuman
powerful weapon or some powerful weapon that's just what you have to do is you have to slow them down as much as you can. That's the biggest thing,
right?
Because then you get more law enforcement that's able to respond to the scene. And there has to be on every single campus, one law enforcement officer has to have an AR-15 or that kind of gun, because that's usually what they come to the school with, right? Handguns are almost useless if someone has that against you. Like it's just not going to happen. So those are just some basic steps that you can take. And there's plenty of, sorry to interrupt you, but there's plenty of veterans who would gladly probably volunteer for a position like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Grandfathers, I mean, I'm sure they would love to be at these schools and
they
be around the
have
children.
The training and
they have the
everything.
training. Absolutely. And I mean, you probably wouldn't even have to pay them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they would probably love to do that.
Yeah.
And I think if our kids can't feel safe at school, where can they feel safe?
Nowhere.
It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
We had a comment that said somebody was friends with Luke Woodham, and no way was his mom responsible. She had no idea. Yeah, I don't think that she had it. He killed her as well, I believe. But I have some friends who are in prison ministry, and they were telling me about Luke and just the lives that he's changed. He's given his life to Christ in jail and has really spoken to so many other prisoners and shared his story and is making a difference in a lot of lives where he is. And so obviously it was a horrible, terrible tragedy that took place in Pearl. And it seems like it kind of set it off.
Yeah, that's sort of what I've noticed too. Is like that was one of the first big ones. So
yeah, but I'm thankful that we all have redemption. And
it just shows the power of God that he was able to turn something so evil into something that's been able to help people. So
absolutely. So what I know we touched on school choice just a little bit, but has that been an issue that you've heard a lot about around your school?
Yeah. A lot of people, for whatever reason, at like Northwest and Rankin County, they're just vehemently against it because they're under the impression that you're just going to get an influx of a bunch of hooligans from Jackson. And I'm not gonna lie, our school already does do that a little bit. Rankin County Northwest does take in some kids from Jackson. I know this because I sit next to them in class. And the behavior in it, if you're worried about that, first of all, there is some provisions in the bill that schools don't have to take everybody that wants to come. They don't have to do that. And also just make it where discipline's a thing again. Like we have such a lack of discipline where a lot of behavior is just accepted. And I don't know whether they're scared of a lawsuit or whatever it is, but just allow teachers to have discipline and allow admin to have more power than they do, like as far as the discipline aspect is concerned. And I think you remove a lot of those problems. Just don't tolerate some stuff.
Yeah, and those policies will apply.
Yeah.
To the children that they accept if they choose to accept them. They don't have to accept any.
Yeah.
But, their policies and their discipline will still apply. And if you break the rules, then you get kicked out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
as
not
simple as that. And that's really the only argument I hear against it. It's like they're worried that Northwest is just going to become, Murrah High School. That's just not the case. And it just kind of frustrates me is how you can have someone just alive, just fester so much about something. And then immediately you have one of the most conservative counties in the state against it. And it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, it's sad to me because it shows racism is still alive. And I know people don't want to go there, but
I think
that's
it's part
what
of
it
it,
is.
but I think it's also like I wouldn't care. I understand the behavior part of it because I wouldn't care what color the person's skin is. If they're behaving like that, I wouldn't want them in my school. But don't just use that as an excuse to deny everybody, right?
Right.
You have to discern the two. So, and I don't think enough people are doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, I agree completely. This has been my hill to die on here recently, especially with this legislative session taking place and it kind of being the hot topic. But I just feel like, why should we deny someone an opportunity to do better if a school accepts them?
Yeah,
and their family can get them
100%.
there. If their family is on board, parents just truly do know their children. Who wants better for their child than the parent? So I think it's sad that we saw it die. Of course, in Mississippi, nothing is ever dead until legislative session ends. So I'm not giving up hope yet. We got to take our last break. Y'all stay with us. We will be right back here to wrap things up on this dreary Monday, President's Day, right here on WIB 103.9. Welcome back to the Lindsey Beckham Show, the last few minutes on this President's Day. Blake, if you cut grass, so grass is about to start growing. So
Right.
everybody on here that is listened today and has been highly impressed with you, how can they find you to cut their grass?
I guess just find me on Facebook and I'll figure it out. So we'll get the yards and everything going. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I was saying it's so hot though, and he's like, "Oh, that doesn't bother me."
They drink enough water. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, it does get hot though, and we are grateful to have Pure Air Consultants as a sponsor of the Lindsey Beckham Show. So everybody definitely, before this heat comes rolling in, get your air conditioner checked because you don't want to live through a Mississippi summer without a good air conditioner.
I mean, it's bad enough in like the fall. I can't.
Yeah,
imagine.
absolutely.
So,
We were talking in the break a little bit about this legislative session and kind of how things have been going. There was a bill that I was very interested in about having all school board members across the state elected and not have any appointed the way that some are. It did die Thursday on the deadline, committee deadline. And of course, our school choice bill is dead currently. Not to say that it can't be revived. There could be some breath breathed into that, but we did get this counselor bill that I've been talking about through, which would stop Mississippi school counselors from having to fall under the ethics guidelines of the American Counselors Association, which needs to be done. And so fingers crossed that one will make it out. Because, like there are certain guidelines that they say are ethical, but basically counselors can't call parents when children come and tell them things that parents have every right to know.
Yeah,
and that's where we've seen these kids socially transitioning at school without parental consent or parental knowledge. And it's just sick. Absolutely sick.
I don't know why that's even an argument. Like that's half the stuff that we bring up. It's like, why is this even a discussion? It's like, wow.
I know it. I say all the time, this is one of my favorite comments. I got this from Billboard Chris, who's a dad from Canada who travels around wearing these billboards basically. And he says that there are 2 sexes, 0 genders, 2 sexes, and infinite personalities. And I think that's exactly right. That is the truth. And anyone that lies to these children, shame.
I mean, it's
shame on
perverse
them.
to try to tell a kid that just because they act a certain way, they need to cut off the genitals. I mean, like that's just
Yeah.
perverse and evil. Like
No, what you should be saying is you were fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God, and
Amen.
God doesn't make mistakes.
Amen.
And that's what we should be telling these children who are confused. But that's all the time we got for today. I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. See you then. Thanks, Blake.
Thank you.